Descartes. I think, therefore I am what if the most obvious thing about you, the fact that you are sitting here right now, turned out to be the hardest thing to prove without using anything else at all? This strange worrying is where René Descartes begins his adventure, not with answers or speeches, but with a quiet decision to doubt everything he thought was solid beneath his everyday life. At first this feels backward, because children learn by trusting their eyes and ears, yet Descartes wondered whether senses sometimes act like trick mirrors at a carnival full of wobbling lights. If mirrors can bend faces and dreams can feel real, then how could anyone be completely sure the world is not playing a clever joke today on their thinking mind now? Descartes pushed this worrying further, imagining invisible tricksters and false memories, not because he loved fear, but because he wanted something that could not wiggle away when questioned deeply enough. This feels uncomfortable, since most people prefer cozy certainty, yet Descartes treated comfort like a chair he was willing to kick aside during his thinking experiment alone at night often. As the world crumbled in his imagination, sounds, colors, numbers, and even bodies felt suspicious, as though reality itself might be wearing a costume borrowed from a playback stage somewhere. Yet, inside this collapsing picture, one tiny spark refused to disappear, because even doubting required something that was doing the doubting quietly, patiently, right there inside the confusion itself still. Descartes noticed that while everything else slipped away, the act of thinking stayed present, stubbornly waving its hand like a child in class waiting to be called on somehow first. From this strange moment came the famous line, which sounds simple yet feels slippery, because saying it does not end the puzzle at all for curious minds watching closely now. When Descartes said, "I think, therefore I am," he was not bragging, but pointing to the only thing standing after the mental storm had finished shaking his ideas completely apart. This raises another puzzle, because if thinking proves existence, then what happens during quiet moments when thoughts slow down or drift gently between dreams and attention spans fading briefly away? Kids know this feeling when staring out a window, because awareness floats without clear thoughts, yet being still seems real enough during long afternoons at school desks silently waiting on bells. So, was Descartes right, or does thinking come and go like clouds while something else quietly stays behind without being noticed immediately by busy minds today at all? Really, perhaps? The story stays tricky because Descartes trusted thinking, while others suspect feeling, sensing, or being alive might matter just as much when days blur together naturally over time passing quickly. Children notice this debate inside themselves, since emotions shout loudly during games, friendships, and mistakes, even when thoughts try to stay calm and reasonable at the same time often enough. Descartes did not solve this argument forever, because proving existence opens new questions rather than closing the door behind curiosity, which keeps knocking politely again and again in young minds. His method feels like cleaning a messy room by emptying everything onto the floor, even though the mess looks worse before order appears slowly, with patience and clear attention later. Kids understand this process when rebuilding Lego cities, since pulling them apart helps reveal which pieces truly hold everything together after the collapse feels dramatic and frustrating at first glance. Descartes trusted that starting from thinking was safer than starting from appearances, although this choice continues to spark arguments centuries later in classrooms, books, and curious conversations everywhere today still. The fun tension remains, because if thinking proves existence, then whose thinking counts? And what about animals, babies, or sleeping people drifting softly through night worlds of dreams unnoticed nearby? Descartes likely knew these questions would follow him, since ideas behave like echoes that bounce longer than expected inside curious heads thinking them through patiently over many days ahead still. For kids, the idea lands like a puzzle box because it opens one door while secretly hiding several others inside that invite hands and thoughts to explore slowly over time. Thinking feels powerful here, yet also fragile because thoughts change, fade, and sometimes trick us just like dreams pretending to be solid while quietly shifting shapes inside the mind daily. This double feeling creates balance, where confidence grows from thinking, but humility sneaks in through uncertainty, reminding curious readers not to cling too tightly to first answers they meet today. Descartes becomes less like a dusty philosopher and more like a brave explorer, testing each step before trusting the ground beneath his boots of thought and reasoning carefully laid down. Children relate to this courage when trying new challenges because checking assumptions can prevent surprises, yet also slow exciting leaps forward into unknown games, ideas, and friendships they imagine ahead. The story never fully settles since thinking proves something, but not necessarily everything people wish to know about the world, themselves, or tomorrow's strange surprises waiting quietly nearby still unseen. Descartes opens the door to self-awareness, while leaving hallways unexplored, which invites others to continue walking forward with questions, doubts, and playful curiosity guiding every step they take next bravely. Kids stepping into this hallway might feel dizzy because ideas bounce around, refusing to line up neatly like balls in a pinball machine inside a curious brain at play today. Yet, dizziness is not danger, since confusion often marks the start of deeper noticing and stronger thinking skills growing quietly beneath the surface of everyday questions kids ask themselves often. Descartes' quiet idea continues whispering, asking whether you trust your thoughts, your senses, or something between these choices when navigating lessons, friendships, and personal dreams forming slowly inside you now. This whisper does not demand agreement because philosophy grows stronger when disagreement stays gentle and curious rather than loud, certain, and closed to new ways of thinking today at all. Children sense this balance naturally, since arguments during games often matter less than continuing to play together happily while rules bend, change, and adapt through shared laughter and compromise afterward. Descartes gives thinking a spotlight, yet does not turn off other lights, leaving the stage softly lit enough for movement, shadows, and unexpected shapes to appear gently over time passing. This image matters because too much light can blind, while darkness hides paths worth seeing when exploring ideas, choices, and questions about who you are becoming slowly each day ahead. Kids learning from Descartes may discover confidence, while also learning patience with uncertainty, which helps them sit comfortably with questions that refuse quick answers or easy labels today or tomorrow. Thinking becomes a tool, not a throne, which matters because tools serve while thrones command obedience, silence, and stillness, none of which curiosity enjoys for long periods of time at all. Descartes trusted thinking enough to stand on it, yet wisely enough to keep questioning its limits whenever doubts, dreams, or new ideas appeared unexpectedly along his path of inquiry forward. This balance feels useful for kids because school answers matter, but personal wondering keeps learning alive beyond tests, grades, and schedules, quietly growing curiosity in spare moments of life daily. Descartes' phrase echoes in modern minds, not as a role, but as a starting step toward noticing thinking, questioning certainty, and meeting confusion with courage, humor, and calm curiosity inside. That step feels small, yet it opens surprising distance, because beginnings shape journeys more than endings do when paths twist, merge, and wander freely beyond expectations set early on before. Kids sense this truth when first questions lead to many others, spreading like branches from a single trunk reaching upward, sideways, and outward toward ideas, stories, and thoughts beyond sight. Descartes stands quietly at that trunk, pointing upward, without forcing anyone to climb, because choice, effort, and curiosity matter more than obedience when exploring thinking itself freely over time ahead. This gentle invitation fits children well, since curiosity grows best when not pushed too hard by fear, pressure, or the need to appear right immediately in front of others watching. Descartes may feel far away in history, yet his doubt sneaks into everyday moments easily when kids question rumors, check answers, or wonder whether something truly makes sense before believing it. Each of these moments repeats the experiment, shrinking philosophy into something playable and personal rather than distant, dusty, or locked behind adult seriousness and heavy books alone somewhere unreachable today. Thinking proves something real is happening, even if its full meaning stays out of reach for now, tomorrow, or years ahead, inviting patience, humility, and continued curiosity always nearby still. Descartes leaves readers standing on that thin line, balanced between confidence and questioning, where thinking supports, doubt nudges, and curiosity keeps everything moving gently forward without collapse or fear today. As the idea lingers, the question stays open, asking whether thinking is the start, the proof, or simply one door among many others waiting quietly inside the wide house of being itself.